anniversary, I would say this is a special webinar because today we are 9 years old. So sorry, I'm having a call coming through. Okay, so today, I know that our parents are trying to log in, but I would just like to test, some level of engagement at this time. Just put it in the chat box where you are logging in from. I would like to know where you're logging in from. Let's know, let's meet you. Just please put it in the chat box. I'm logging in from Lagos, from UK, from US, wherever in the world you're logging in from. We will really like to know, just to know where we have more parents and just to test our data. So we would really like to know. Please just put it in the chat box. Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Shalakwe. Thank you. Thank you, Ngozi OJ. It's good to have you here. Thank you very much. Oh, wow, Mr. Hodie, good to have you. Thank you for logging in. Thank you so much. Yes, so let's get that. Let's continue with that, and then we'll just start just in, let's say, right about now. So I'm so thrilled, like I said, again, today is such an incredibly special occasion to us at Brains and Butter. We mark our 9 years of guiding families, securing the best school placements for them and ensuring that every child, is set up for success. And that's what we do at Brains and Butter. And over the years, it's over nearly a decade now. Next year, we will be 10 years. We have worked closely with families to navigate the ever-evolving world of education, offering personalized guidance tailored to each child's need. And as part of our 9th-year anniversary celebrations, we're thrilled to host this insightful discussion on a topic that remains a major decision for many parents. I hear many parents, talk about this, day versus boarding, choosing the right school for your child. And, I just want to say that when it comes to selecting the right educational path for your child, there's no one size fits all. So that's why at Brains and Butter, we try to work with every family's preference. It is beyond academics. We factor a lot of things: social development, emotional well-being, the independence, and family dynamics. All of these come in and play a crucial role in selecting a school for your child. And today's conversation is just designed to provide clarity, expert insights to help you make the best choice for your child. We are especially excited to be hosting, in the session, a collaboration with Charterhouse Lagos, a school that brings a rich legacy of academic excellence to Nigeria educational landscape. Permit me to say that's the first British educational and independent school group to establish a presence in West Africa. I want to believe I'm right with that. So Charterhouse is redefining premium education by blending tradition with innovation. I don't want to talk too much. At this time, I would like to hand over to Mrs. Benedette, who's going to do justice to reading the profile of our speaker today. I just want to implore you all, parents, please, I know you are in the middle of work. Just plug in your AirPod, your mouth earpiece, just listening, and you will richly enjoy the session. So over to you, Mrs. Benedette. Good to have you here. How are you doing today?
Sorry, I just struggled to unmute myself. Good morning. It's good morning in the UK. Good afternoon for those joining us from Lagos and from Africa. My name is Bernadette, and I am one of the associate consultants here at Brains and Butter. Wow. 9 years. 9 years of doing great exploits, 9 years of sorting out families who really want to find out about UK boarding schools. I'll just move on to introduction quickly before I rant over how happy we are at Brains and Butter to be 9 today. Okay, so in introducing John Todd, I'll read a profile. Just bear with me a moment. Okay, so John Todd brings extensive experience in school leadership to his role as Director of Education at Charterhouse, Lagos. Born and educated in the UK, he studied natural sciences at University College Durham, and holds a master's in education from the UK's Open University, a master's in organizational leadership, and MBA from the US. He began his career as a primary school teacher in the UK before moving into international education. And I can attest to that because when I put the profile, the flyer for our UK boarding, our Zoom thing today, I had a couple of parents email say he was my son's head teacher, and I was like, what school? I think it was Greenfield or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah. So he started his career as a primary school teacher, and he definitely was a headmaster in those primary schools. Bear with me again. His career has taken him across Singapore, Kenya, Nigeria, Qatar, and most recently China. John served as headmasters at Dulwich College in Suzhou for 4 years before moving to Shanghai, where he spent another 4 years as a regional director of schools. In this role, he chaired the board of management for all China-based schools. Additionally, he served as a group director of safeguarding, overseeing policy and compliance and coordination. John is a fellow of the Royal Society for Arts, Manufactures and Commerce, and fellow of the Chartered College of Teaching. Welcome to the forefront of our meeting today, John Todd. Thank you, Mr. John Todd.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Some interesting pronunciation there. It's Dulwich College Suzhou in China.
Suzhou, do you know I spent a lot of time on Google this morning? It said it was Suzhou on Google this morning. I apologize. Suzhou.
ZH is a
Suzhou. Suzhou. Thank you.
So, Suzhou. I can arrange some classes. My oldest daughter is doing international business with Chinese at King's in London. I'll get you some Chinese lessons.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So, and Dr. Alo, nice to meet you again, and congratulations on 9 years.
Thanks.
A big achievement. Congratulations. And to all the parents who've tuned in this morning, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And I'm going to talk to you. We'll do some of it on presentation, and some of it I will be just talking to you directly. So just looking at a little bit about my career there, I was here in Nigeria, in Green Springs, in Antony Village, and then at Awayaya. So there are many people here in the education field in Nigeria who still remember me from that time. So I'm quite old in some ways. But I've had the chance to work in plenty of places around the world. My oldest 2 children were born in Lagos, and so I have a big connection with the place. And when the opportunity came to work here again in Charterhouse, then it was an easy decision. And I'm kind of in an interesting position because I'm obviously working here in Lagos, and my family are back in the UK, which is often the opposite of what Nigerian parents do. And my 2 oldest are at university. So I've got quite a diversity. I've got my oldest daughter doing business at King's. Daughter number 2 is doing performing arts at Arts Ed. And number 3 is at Alain's in West Dulwich. And so starting off this whole conversation, it is about choosing the school, the program that is right. And my family, we've gone from business to performing arts. Number 3 is talking about architecture. And so I talk to you as a parent as well, because I've asked the same questions. I've had the same discussions. with my wife. She's always right, of course. I'm also conscious that this is very much a family issue, where your children go to school. It is a very big decision, and it's not one to take lightly. And very often families will come to this decision, never mind boarding school or day school, just the placement of which school. There's a lot of thinking that has to go on, thinking about family separation, the type of school, the type of career. The reality for most of our children is they don't have a clue what they want to do in most cases. So I've talked about my 16-year-old who she's just choosing her A-levels. She's trying to work out which subjects to do for a career. She's not sure what it is she's going to do. I come to you as a primary teacher with a degree in chemistry and software engineering, which you can imagine was really useful with 9 and 10-year-olds. So there's a lot of uncertainty around this. And when I was thinking about this today, I thought about 3 questions. There's a question around boarding school or day school. So the type of school. There's a question about Nigeria or the UK. So there's a question about location as well. And for many families, that's a huge challenge. And I'm also obviously going to talk to you today, I can't miss the chance to talk about why Charterhouse Lagos as well. And try and touch on some of those. If you've got questions as we go along, please obviously drop those into the chat, and the team at the back with Brains and Butter will pass those on. So one of the things that I will say has changed in the last year is you have more choice. There are a number of issues that have come around within education over the last few years. COVID. The impact of COVID has, across the world in international education, has seen more parents keep their children closer to home. It's focused on family. It's got people more worried about the time they spend with their children, a stronger focus probably on family values and time spent together. So COVID has very definitely changed people's thinking, and more people are thinking twice about sending their children far away to school. So that really is a very real thing. The second thing that happened in January was VAT in the UK. My youngest daughter, we added 15.5% VAT. So we had the triple whammy. I think it's at least 3 things. We had VAT at 20%. We had business tax, business rate exemption removed. And then we had teacher pensions, which are going up. We've also got UK inflation now running at 3%. That's gone up 0.5% purely on the basis of the VAT rise for schools. So suddenly, UK schools have become quite significantly more expensive. For a London day school, it's now gone from low 20s to £30,000 a year. So you're looking at £10,000 a term. For a top boarding school, if I look at Charterhouse in the UK, you're looking at £60,000 a year. What that is in Naira is a lot of zeros. Someone can do a calculation. It's a huge amount of money. We also, if we're coming from Nigeria, have those issues of exchange rates. What is it today? A year ago, we were at 400. We're now at, or is it 600 to 2,000, 400 to 1,600 for dollars. And it changes day by day. It can go up and down 100 or 200 Naira in a day. So you're also hedging on your school fees, which have to be paid to UK schools in pounds, or if you're looking elsewhere in the world, possibly in dollars. So there's a lot of challenges going on with that. And I said you have more choice now, because if you wanted an independent school education, the only place to go was the UK or the US. That's no longer the case. Nearly every other country in the world has had a UK independent school. This started back in the late 90s, back in Thailand, in fact. But over the last few years, 20, 30 years, we've seen literally hundreds of schools in the Middle East, in China, in North Africa, in Europe. And one of the few places we haven't seen it is in Nigeria, the giant of Africa, a very, very rich country with a very education-hungry audience, particularly in the south. But across Nigeria, we know Nigerians want their children to have the best opportunities for education. And to me, that's a great, as an educator, as a teacher, that's what I like to hear. And so there was a hole in the market. There was an opportunity, and Charterhouse Lagos has very much stepped into that. We are the first British independent school in Nigeria, indeed in West Africa. There is no one close. We have up in North Africa, all along the North African coast. We've got them over in Kenya, and we've got legacy schools down in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and places like that, but nothing here. And so Charterhouse Lagos has very much changed that, and others have recently jumped on the bandwagon as well, and more are coming. And so that very much brings into play this whole issue of, do you need to go to the UK? Because on a purely cost level, we'll come on to some education pieces later, on a purely cost level, we are looking at a difference from £60,000 to about £15,000 to £16,000. So if you were to send your children to Charterhouse Lagos as a boarder in year 7 and 8, you're looking at less than 30 million naira. The number of pounds will change on a day-to-day basis, but you're looking at about £15,000 or £16,000 for year 7, year 8, and year 9. Gets a little bit more expensive as they go up. So purely on a cost basis, the fees are cheaper. That's for boarding, by the way. That's for weekly boarding. That includes boarding fees, £16,000. You've no more flights. Your child is, if you live in Lagos, depending on the traffic, and if there's no containers falling over, 40 minutes away from Ikoyi. So suddenly the landscape has very much changed. So let's go back from there. Let's have a think about boarding schools and day schools. Why would we pick one or the other? And within families, you won't agree, quite possibly. My wife is an educator. She made it very clear, our children, we're not going to a boarding school. So you don't have to agree. Many parents are saying, well, I went to a boarding school, I've done very well. Please don't let that be the driver. Let the driver of this conversation be, what is best for my child? I'd love to take every child that walks into my school. Not every child will be happy at Charterhouse. Or you can take any other school. You have to make sure, number one, your child is happy. What's interesting, we had a conversation with some Nigerian parents just last week, and we were saying to them, what's important? What do you want your child to come out of a school experience with? Not one of them said academics. It was all about balance, happiness, character. Now, that's not to say these things are not important. They absolutely are. But your child needs to feel they are in the right place And if they're a secondary school student, they need to be part of the conversation. That would be my advice. I know that's not always possible, but at the end of the day, it's their education. So my advice would be let them have a say in that education. So if we think about boarding school, what are the positives that people look at for boarding school? And probably number one is thinking about structure. The children have a very structured day. They know when things happen. There are teachers and boarding house parents who are helping them, who are supporting them. And as a parent and a teacher, I can tell you it's much, much easier to discipline other people's children. My children generally ignore me. I can see Dr. Allo laughing because I suspect she has the same issue. It's very hard to get your children out of bed in the morning. It's hard to get them back into bed. It's hard to get them to do their homework. If someone else is doing that, actually, it is a lot easier. It doesn't mean we always can get it right or can do it perfectly. But putting them in a structure where there are other children, other students doing the same thing, there are the issues of peer pressure. And it's what teachers do. Teachers structure days, structure lessons. That's how we work, that's how we think. And so a boarding school will give your child a structure from the time they get up to the time they go to bed. And typically that's going to involve, obviously, a morning routine. And we all know how it is to get your child, your teenager in particular, out of bed, get them to wash in the car with the right things, and then get them to school. They may be in a bad mood, but for many mums, it is the lowest point of their day is trying to get their kids to school. It's a challenge. There's no two ways around it. We then, during the school day, obviously they've got lessons. After school, there's activities, there's supervised prep, there's supervised meal times. There's control over what they do and what they watch. They still have some freedom there. In our school, yes, they do have time to call home. Yes, they do have time to play games, because you can't make them only read. That doesn't work. There needs to be a level of balance in it. They also have to keep their rooms tidy. There's another nightmare for parents. Bedtimes are controlled. We can actually control the Wi-Fi because we can simply switch it off. So there are lots of things in a school which are normal that are much more difficult to enforce as a parent because of the whole emotional issues involved, because they're your children and you love them and you want to do everything for them. So that's not a sign of weakness. That's usually a sign of love, but it's very, very hard to control your own children at times in a very positive way. Boarding school offers you that opportunity. And I think as well, what we can look at is that if it's a boarding school in Lagos, the reality is your children are then 40 minutes away from you. You can pick them up on Friday or Saturday morning. You can spend time with them at the weekend. You can take them to church on Sunday and then bring them back to school. So they're getting a bit of both. If you're a parent in the UK, then there are weekend activities. There's still church or mosque over the weekend. And if there's family, there's those opportunities. But it's a very structured program. The children get used to it. It gives them a structure for life at the end of the day. They know they have to study every day. They know they have to read every day. They're used to putting their books away. They're used to putting their clothes away. So this is about instilling habits, about instilling discipline, not just in terms of their academics, in terms of how they live, how they behave, how they exist within a community. The other thing about boarding schools is, I would say, a piece around time. Wherever you live, you have to get them out of bed. You have to get them to school, and that takes time. However close you live to the school, it still takes time. If they live in school, everything is 5 minutes away. Now, if you're in Lagos, the best you're going to do is 40 minutes. If you were coming to us as a day student, it's 40 minutes. That's then 40 minutes of extra study. That's then 40 minutes of extra football, of extra activities, of whatever. But at the both beginning of the day and the end of the day in a boarding school, your children are not wasting time with traveling. And in many cities, that's a challenge. A day student in a London school, and I know with the 20-mile-an-hour limits, it is very often 30, 40 minutes or even an hour to get home because of the traffic and the speed restrictions. So there is a huge advantage of probably 1 or 2 hours a day. Now, if you add that up, and even if that 1 hour a day it means they can sleep longer, there's a huge, huge advantage in teenagers getting more sleep. Even if we take 1 hour a day, that's 180 hours a year in one school year. So even if they only took 90 of those hours, that's a lot of extra study time. So purely on that, there's an advantage. And then obviously they've got access to all of the school facilities, wherever that school is. The type of schools we're talking about have great facilities. Charterhouse has got great facilities, and I'll show you a video of some of those a little bit later. Beyond that, you have got literally a 24/7 care and support service. So we're not just teachers, we're house parents. We are looking after those children. In Charterhouse, that means 3 meals a day. Option of international meals or local meals. We even actually have a pizza oven in our school. That's probably the first in Africa, never mind West Africa. We have a full-time doctor on site. So we've got a medical center with doctors and nurses. So always your child is being well looked after, and that's coming from Evercare Hospital, so one of the premier hospitals in Nigeria. So your child is always being taken care of. There is always someone there. There are people living in the house. So there's always someone there that they can go to, that will look after them, whilst they still have that measure of independence. Now, if we compare that to a day school, obviously there's the time issue. What you get with a day school is the chance to see your child every day. What you get is the chance to make them fully part of your family life. And for some children, that is absolutely key. Some children are simply not ready to immerse themselves in the life of a boarding school. And I'm absolutely not sitting here saying you must send your child to a boarding school. We go back to the beginning, which is you send your child to the school that is right for your child. It's the same at university. Don't send your child to a university because it's the number one, the top 50. Send your child to the university that has the right course and is right for your child. Hopefully that will have a good reputation. Usually they do. But please don't get stuck on, they must be in boarding school. They must go to Oxford. No. What is it is right for your child? That is the place to send them. Okay? So that's thinking about a little bit about boarding schools and day schools. So I've worked in boarding schools and day schools. My children have lived in boarding schools because I lived in them. At the moment, they go to a day school. It's what's right for them now. And that may change. Very often we'll get parents coming to us and saying, I'm just not sure. Can I try? And another advantage, if you were to look at Charterhouse in Lagos, is you can say, yeah, let me try them in boarding for a week. Let me try them in boarding for 1 or 2 days. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I can still take them to and from as a day student. if you make that option to go to the UK, actually you don't have a choice. You're making a big commitment. So it's such a big commitment, make sure you get that absolutely right. Charterhouse Lagos gives you many more options to think about in terms of weekly boarding, termly boarding, flexi boarding within Lagos. So thinking perhaps a little bit about Nigeria or the UK. The issues we hear, culture and liberal morals, shall we say. My answer to that often is we only have two types of toilet in the school, boys and girls. We fully comply with, on one sense, we fully comply with the Nigerian law, but we're also extremely conscious of the society in which we are placed. On one level, we respect every child. Each child is an individual. They will make their own choices about how they want to live their life. But living within Nigeria, we're conscious of what society deems is appropriate. And the children are going to be surrounded by that. They're not going to get Western liberal values in that sense. In addition, they're also going to have the opportunity, if that's what parents want, to attend local churches, or you can take them to your own church. So they're not only getting the Nigerian values set on a day-to-day basis, they're also getting your own thinking around religion, your own family standards and values at the weekend, around your thoughts on how they should worship as well. In terms of worship, we do not focus on religion as a school. We're a values-based school. We feel this is something for the parents. And for our children that are termly boarders, we will offer a range of options for worship where we will take the children to places of worship at the weekend. But we know this is really important to parents, to make sure that the right values, the culturally appropriate values, are something that we are always thinking about. So there's no dilly-dallying about this. We are very clear about what is allowed and what is not allowed. And then I go to my children's school in the UK and there's a rainbow flag outside. And that's a worry for parents. We get it. We're not going there. We don't do it. The other thing about staying in Lagos is access to family. And Nigeria is about family. Everybody has a relative everywhere. It's fantastic. That sense of family, that sense of Lagos is one big village. And so living here, your children are close. Even if you're in Abuja and we're getting significant interest from Abuja, your children are only an hour's flight away. So you've not got that 7 hours plus travel gap. If there's an issue, if there's a problem or anything like that, they are actually very, very close to you. And I guess the other thing about Nigeria is we go back to cost. If you're looking at it from a UK perspective, and Dr. Allo will correct me if I'm wrong here, but to find a UK boarding school that can offer full or weekly boarding at £16,000 at a premium level is not happening. But that is what we are offering, and we've got some really great founders discounts that we're offering at the moment that will allow you to keep those discounts through your child's life in the school. So the discounts we offer now to founding families last you through your child's school career with us. So there are some really good deals, but you haven't got the flight costs. You haven't got mummy going to live in England, renting a house and not being with the family. You haven't got the family separation issues. which have been a reality for so many families for so long. We've moved away from that. So why Charterhouse Lagos? What is it that we do that is any different to any other school here? And part of that is you need to walk through the door. You need to come and see us. Actually, we have an open day tomorrow. I can do a quick advert for that. We have an open day tomorrow, and our theme for that is around dance and culture and fashion, but there's a chance to see the school. And Charterhouse Lagos is a school like no other in Nigeria. And I've seen what else is being built. Charterhouse will remain the school like no other in Lagos. We're on a 70-hectare site. Our school is 1 kilometer long. It's a $150 million investment. And what we talk about, a vote of confidence in the future of Nigeria. Because we want Nigerians, young Nigerians, to be educated here and to stay here and to make a difference in the long term in Nigeria. We believe if they're educated here, they will stay in Nigeria in the long term. So we have 400 years of tradition. We're a new school with over 400 years of tradition. We offer a British curriculum. So we have the gold standard of IGCSE and A levels, taught by a mixture of expatriate and local staff. We have both boarding options and day options. We have a primary school and a secondary school. Obviously, we're focusing on secondary school. But if you had a child in year 5 and year 6, absolutely, we can talk about boarding for them. We follow UK and international standards when it comes to safeguarding. And I think, excuse me, one of the shocks parents get if they're moving to Nigeria from the UK is that so many Nigerian schools do not follow basic checks. They're not police checking their teachers. They're not doing sex offender checks on their teachers. They're not doing proper referencing on their teachers. Our checks, which have gone through a COBIS compliance check, which are going through an international accreditation, are the same as UK checks. Because the people that work with your children, we cannot be too careful about. We have CCTV cameras monitoring our whole campus. Security is very tight. The single most important thing for us is keeping children safe from any type of harm. So we don't play with that. We don't play with making sure our teachers are 100% safe. We're very, very careful. And then within that, we have what we like to say are the best facilities in Nigeria. And so what I'd like to do now, and hopefully I can share the screen. This is always a scary bit because you're never quite sure if it's going to work. So let's do the screen share. That particular screen. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do it from here. Slideshow from this side. So I'm going to press this button and hopefully a video will play with sound. Fingers crossed.
Can we have one more go at that, but with the sound?
Oh, the
Yeah.
sound didn't come on.
No,
The
it
sound
didn't.
is the sound is on from my end.
So if
Okay,
you,
well let me try
okay,
again.
you might need to stop share. And then when you start share, just be, you know that screen that appears, there's a little box that says share computer sound.
Yeah, sound. Oh yeah,
Yes.
you've done this before. Let's try. I've done that.
Awesome.
Please give me a thumbs up if the sound comes on.
Welcome to Charterhouse Lagos, a world-class institution with over 400 years of British educational excellence. From the moment you arrive at our reception, you're welcomed into a space designed for connection, where students, parents and visitors experience our rich heritage and commitment to excellence. Our state-of-the-art classrooms foster creativity, critical thinking and collaboration, preparing our students for a globally competitive future. In our STEM labs, hands-on learning brings innovation to life, equipping our students with skills for a technology-driven world. Our world-class lecture theatre hosts dynamic lessons, presentations and guest lectures in a fully immersive setting. Beyond academics, we nurture community. Our dining hall offers nutritious, chef-prepared meals in a warm and social atmosphere. Creativity thrives in our music room, where our students explore instruments, vocals, and music theory. For boarders, our boarding houses provide a safe, comfortable, and structured home away from home. Student well-being is our priority, with top-tier healthcare available at our on-site medical centre. Athletic excellence is encouraged with world-class sports facilities, basketball, football, swimming, and there's more, helping students stay active and competitive. At Charterhouse Lagos, we are shaping future leaders, innovators, and global citizens. Admissions for secondary school day and boarding students for September 2025 are now open. Visit charterhouselagos.com and enroll your child today.
So, ladies and gentlemen, mums and dads, thank you very much for your time this morning and for listening to me. And let me hand back to Dr. Allo.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was an absolutely fantastic presentation. Truly,
Thank you.
truly phenomenal. You actually touched on so many pertinent issues, from the cost of education as we know it today, a fast changing educational landscape, and the fact that through all of this, Nigerians, Ghanaians, West Africans all over the world place a very high premium on education. So still aiming and aspiring and working really hard to give their children the very best, but having to face such strain in terms of the cost and the decisions they have to make. So thank you so much. And you really touched very nicely on the nuances and those key benefits of a boarding education, whilst recognizing that it's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, but there are many benefits of a boarding education that are worth considering for families. I mean, I would always share my story. I started boarding at the age of 9, and I boarded for 6 years. I obviously, as any teenager would who is boarding, you'll go through those teenage transitions, you know, the skills of having to live with other people. There's so many things that happen as a result of, being in a boarding school, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was such a fantastic experience and really played a huge role in shaping who I am today. So whilst I'm going to go on to ask Mr. Todd some questions, this is basically an opportunity for our parents to please ask questions. So we have a Q&A box. Please use the Q&A box. I know we'll also check through the chat, but if you can use the Q&A box, you heard a founders discount exists. I'm sure some of you would want to know, what is that founders discount? What does it look like, right? And you might have some other questions. So please, dear parents, please use the Q&A box. We would really, really love to hear from you whilst I'm asking the questions. And John, I don't know if you noticed the color of my blazer.
Oh, very good.
Very intentional.
Yes. So we have the same, obviously, brand palette as Charterhouse UK.
Yes.
But we picked out the pink. We just fell in love with the pink. It's an aspect of everybody's everything we do in school. So it's far more prominent, the pink, on Charterhouse Lagos than it is actually in Charterhouse UK, because I like it, and I'm allowed to say as a guy.
I couldn't agree anymore. I couldn't agree anymore. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful choice of color. And speaking of Charterhouse UK, so we actually have two students, a boy and a girl, that we've placed in Charterhouse UK. We have another girl in the pipeline.
Choice.
And now that we're in connection with yourselves, Charterhouse Lagos,
Mm.
we're really excited about the opportunities of having our families, and some from the United Kingdom and families within Nigeria, come to Charterhouse Lagos. It's particularly interesting for us as we celebrate our 9th anniversary, because when we started, I actually had families say to me, "Oh, so you're looking at bringing people out of Nigeria to the United Kingdom. How about the other way around? Have
But
you?"
there was no choice. Let's face it. This and interestingly, this was something we had our school commissioned about 2 weeks ago by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, and he's made this point. Nigerian families had no choice but to separate their families if they wanted premium brand education. So I don't think we can blame families, but now we're giving them the option. And I think as well, this was not just about people could only go overseas, the sheer cost. Because never mind the fees, and never forget in the UK or an independent school, the extras, but just the flight cost to go to and from 2, 3, 4 times a year, or quite often it's almost every month that some people travel. So all of that has changed, and that whole issue of my child is actually 7 hours away. If something happens, and as a parent, you're always thinking nothing will happen. What if something happens? You're always thinking that you have to. And in this case, they're just literally just down the road. So there's a lot more sense of I have access to my child. If there is any problem, they are very, very close. And I can get to them quickly, and they can still be part of family celebrations. They can be part of family events, but they're still feeling that same independent school ethos. They're still getting the same quality of teaching, because Charterhouse comes out and inspects us on an annual basis. They require us to do accreditation. We would do it anyway, but for them, we have to have the right ethos. We have to have the right standards. That's absolutely essential. It's what we buy into. And our school is created around this idea of excellence. You've got to be good at everything, not just the academics, the standard of the boarding house. We do not have a canteen. We have a dining room, because it raises expectations. The way our teachers present themselves, everything matters from the moment you drive through the gate. So the behavior of our guards, who are also police checked, who are also safeguarding trained. We've also, I guess, taken on this idea, it's not new, of it takes a village to raise a child, because we demand that every single one of the adults within our campus, small town, which it is responsible. They're all responsible. So we did some anti-bullying training last term. We didn't just train the teachers. We train the assistant teachers, we train the finance staff, we train the admission staff, because they might be the one that sees it. They might be the one that's involved. So if we've got these children living here 24/7, everybody has to play a part. Every pair of eyes is part of that network of making sure that these children are being well looked after.
And it's all of those reasons that you have mentioned that have in the past led to parents sending their children to the United Kingdom to study. So to really have that so wonderfully replicated in Nigeria is absolutely amazing. Now, there was something you touched on in your presentation that I thought was so good. I like that you went there, and it's about the values.
Yes.
The morals, these things matter to our families. And why I want to just sort of touch on that some more is we do have parents in the United Kingdom, in the United Arab Emirates, in the United States, who actually would love for their children to have a feel for studying within Nigeria and preserving those values and having that experience and getting to have a network of Nigerian friends. So if you could speak to us, because for them, there is that separation and obviously the security is in place. But over to you. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and absolutely, we are talking to those parents. We're getting a huge amount of interest, particularly from the UK, from the diaspora in the UK. Key issues that we can touch on: security, security around the campus. What's interesting, so I left Nigeria in 2007. Abraham Adesanya was a roundabout, and there wasn't anything around here. It was just a giant swamp. House prices where we are in Aja Ogombo have gone up 4 or 5 times. Land prices have gone through the roof. And we can put our fingers up and say, we take the blame, and we wish we bought more land. But all around us, so I can't show you, but I'm looking out the window of one of our rooms now, and there are urban developments everywhere. So, it's quite common in Lagos, and I say this with respect. If you live in Ikoyi or VI, you think that Aja is out in the sticks and it's hours away. We're literally 35 to 40 minutes from Ikoyi. At the end of our property we can see the lorries going up and down doing the sand fill for the Calabar, the coastal road, the Lagos Calabar road. So that will help as well. But we're actually very close. We're almost surrounded now by urban developments. We're not in a jungle. We're not out in the middle of nowhere. Security-wise, we obviously have a boundary wall, which is about 3-4 meters high. It's topped by barbed wire. We have a network of 400 cameras. We have a control room that is monitored 24/7. We have armed security, so we have mopoles on the outside of the campus. We have uniformed security. We have supervisors. We have international consultants in security. We have, I'm not wearing it, I took it off for the presentation, but everyone has a tag. Someone's going to bring it now. We know if you are not one of our people, we know you're on the site. So that's my ID. So we have lanyards. So we always know. So we have really, really strict security, polite, but strict security. You can't just walk in. I've talked a little bit about safeguarding. And then the other thing is this around this idea of values or morals. The issue is around morals, I think very much. And we've looked at this, and Charterhouse UK are absolutely 100% behind us. We are in Lagos. We are in Nigeria and West Africa. We are not here to impose Western moral standards on Nigerian children. What we're offering is a curriculum within a Nigerian cultural framework and within a Nigerian moral value framework. You know, I've worked in the Middle East, I've worked in China, and you can't go to someone else's country and say, you're doing it wrong. You have to behave in this particular way. What's interesting, what they have really enjoyed from the UK is we've included courtesy as one of our values, because also you can't be in Nigeria and not remember to say good morning, because that's almost an insult. But we're also very clear. There's boys and there's girls. And for us, there's nothing in between. We are not supporting pride. We are not supporting gay rights. That doesn't mean my teachers don't have their opinions. They do. You know, I'm from the West. I have my opinions. But what we're saying to people is, this is where we're at. This is where we are situated. These are the values that the school represents. And these are the things that our Nigerian parents are coming back to us and saying, this is what worries us about the UK, the liberal values, kids not knowing who they are. This is a big worry. So, you know, in a sense, it's not really a big issue for us. It's just what is, because of where we are. And any school that is trying to push a Western moral framework in that sense, to me, it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, you have to adapt to the culture. In our primary school, we also offer a Nigerian and African studies program, because we think kids have to understand something about the geography, something about the history, the nature of the place, how to be a citizen in their own country. We're also looking for secondary school. And again, this has come back from parents. I'd love my child to come back and learn some Yoruba because we live in England and they've never been taught. So that's something we're going to try and offer, not as a mainstream thing in secondary school, but as an after-school program. Of course, there's football, there's music, basketball, swimming, chess. There'll be all those things, but cultural programs around things like native dancing, and we've got some people coming in to do that for our open day on Saturday, but also language, because you understand culture through language. And our English program in years 7, 8, and 9 will particularly focus, not completely, but will focus on some Nigerian and African authors. Because we still have to do the classics, we still have to do Shakespeare. That's still part of a good education, but we can also look at what else is out there. So even on our staff book club, so we've all read Half a Yellow Sun. We've all read I can't remember. I read another Nigerian book the other week, a novel, and she's a Nigerian journalist. Her name will come to me, Ada Obi, and I can't remember her other name. Absolutely fantastic book about a guy called Kingsley, who's a 419 merchant. So we're really trying to get our teachers to understand, yes, you're from the West, but actually you're existing within this Nigerian cultural framework. So understand it.
Honestly, on behalf of so many Nigerian parents, we are so thankful for that understanding of our cultural values, that immersion and that adaptation to the Nigerian setting, and not importing a Western culture, as it were. Yes, you're maintaining those British standards within the quality of education being provided, the facilities and all of that, but understanding the values. And I think Edna's comment just really speaks to that really well. She said, as a UK parent, I'm considering sending my children to gain Nigerian cultural grounding whilst maintaining the British standard of education they were used to. So it's a win-win. And if we just get a little bit...
and the author, someone has posted the author.
Oh!
Can't remember the name of the book. It's a fantastic book. And I got to the last page and just laughed out loud. It's a fabulous book.
So that's by Adalbi Nwabani. And
Yes.
yes, and I know that Wando is such an avid reader, so she's most likely correct with that author's name.
Yes, she is. She
Yes.
is.
Fantastic. So in terms of the technical details and what year groups do you currently have within the school, when does boarding start? Because we're having all these amazing benefits for a third of the cost of what parents are having to pay in the United Kingdom. So if you can just let us know, so our parents have those technical
So
details.
we've got I Do Not Come to You by Chance. That's the name of the book. We'll get that in because I recommend you read that. It's just a fun book. So
Thank you,
in terms
Falape.
of classes that we have, obviously at the moment we have our primary school open years 1 to year 6. In September, we will open years 7, 8, and 9. So September 25, years 7, 8, and 9 will open with boarding. In September 2026, years 10 for IGCSE and year 12 for A levels will open. Okay, so by 20 and because both IGCSE and A levels are a 2-year course, we don't admit students into year 11 or year 13. They have to come into year 10 or into year 12. And this is intentional. Secondary school has to be right. Children don't get a second chance, particularly when it comes to exam classes. And so we opened our primary school first because there's more adaptability in primary school. What we've then spent a year doing is making sure everything works. So it's the challenge of Nigeria is things like electric, water, food. We have all of those services on site. We've spent a year testing them. Our boarding house was handed over to us this week. It's not due to open till September, but it's been handed over to us. So that's partially furnished. You can come and have a look in the boarding house. Last time we opened it, we had children climbing up, trying the beds and things like that. So it's there to try. So right now you can apply for anything up to year 9. We've got children obviously already applying for the next 2 or 3 years in advance. The reason they're doing that is because if you apply now and pay a term's fees, you get locked into that founder's discount, which gives you a massive discount, which will carry on through your school time. Okay. And once people start talking to us, we can supply the full details. I will let my admissions team supply the full details. It's dangerous for heads to talk about detail of fees because we get it wrong or forget. In terms of admissions, so you can go onto our website, charterhouselagos.com/admissions. We've also got our Facebook, we've got our Instagram, my Instagram, which I will type in just now. So you can also follow me on Instagram because I do some really good posts on there and I want to grow my numbers. And so there's always things coming out on Instagram, the latest films. So you can go onto our website, you can log an inquiry and one of our admissions team will call you and talk you through the process. We want people to come in and see the school. Why are we saying that? Because you need to buy into it. It's not just natural, oh, it looks great. Your child is going to spend 7 or 8 years there. They've got to want to be there. They've got to buy into the process. They're a teenager, so they've got to feel it's right for them. They've got to be part of it. The usual response when people walk through the door is, wow. And the other response is, so we do literally get people coming in and I want to go and just say, please close your mouth. We had a kiddie did this last week and I almost it was about 20 seconds. She couldn't close her mouth because it really has that impact. So we show people around, we give them a chance to see everything. And then there is admissions testing. So we do not do formal examinations because we're not convinced, quite honestly, that it tells you anything you didn't know before. We want to look at what kind of potential the child has. And so we'll do a what's called a CAT4 assessment on them, which is fairly standard in international schools. We can do those in person or we can do those online. Likewise, with a tour, we can actually do an online tour. One of our admissions team will walk you around talking as if you're there, and you can say, oh, please let me go and see that. Let me see this. I'm interested in seeing this classroom. Can I talk to a teacher? We can do that on an online tour. We're used to that, particularly with UK parents. Most UK schools that we've worked with will help with the admissions tests, because obviously we want to make sure it's done properly. So very often we can send that to the school. It's done online. It's not a big deal. It's not a high pressure thing. When it comes to year 10 and year 12, we'll send out more details in September, because we'll start the admissions for that. But there will be more tests, and we'll have some formal writing and maths tests for year 10. And then year 12 admission will be on interview and also on examination results.
Amazing. And when you do start sixth form, will you be offering both the IB and A levels?
No,
okay.
We're only going to offer A levels, the IB. So I've had one child do IB and one child do A levels. We think that within this context, particularly for a new school, you've got to get it absolutely right, because these children have, we say 2 years, they don't, they have about 18 months when it comes to sixth form. You've got to get it right. So for a brand new school to start offering IB, I don't think is a good thing for the children. A levels is much simpler and cleaner in terms of subject presentation than IB. So we're going to start by offering A levels because it can be done more effectively. It gives the children a better chance. I don't want to gamble. Because we talk about innovation and things, but when it comes to exams, you don't innovate, you get it right.
Yeah. Yes. And how about those families who want their children to go on to universities in the US? Will those sort of provisions and support be given to those families?
Absolutely. We're working with, I mean, the challenge now is, it used to be you would go to the UK and then it became the UK or the US. And with everything going on in the UK around the finances, the UK is just another option. So we've also got Hong Kong, we've got Singapore, we've got Australia, we've got Canada. Politics in the US, more parents are probably going to start looking towards Canada. So we will have counsellors in the school. We will start from year 7 on a university program, thinking about, who am I? What do I like to do? What do I want to do? Because most kids don't know what they want to do. If I choose this subject, so it's exploring, if I choose this, what can I do? If I want to do medicine, architecture, whatever it is, what subjects do I need to do? So we'll do a lot of careers and university education. We're then going to be working with a team of international advisors who will support the children. So our own team will have their areas of expertise. But if a child wants to go, let's say, to a top US university, or even at Oxford or Cambridge, it's a very, very specific pathway. They need very clear guidance, and schools tend to have generalists. We've got this team, we can then reach out and say, okay, you want to do this for these next 4 or 5 years, this is what you need to do. Because building a CV for an American university is one thing. For a UK university, it's about exam results. So it's 2 different things. And you've got to be, and then within, you want to do this specific career, then you've got to prepare in a certain way, and that doesn't happen in the last year. That can sometimes be 3, 4, 5 years of preparation. So we're going to have that external support to make sure that really is world class as well.
Amazing. Honestly, I've literally had to put my audio on mute because my phones are buzzing, and you have successfully convinced so many families who live in the
Excellent.
United Kingdom to actually really think seriously about bringing their children over.
And I would point out as well, for families thinking about it from the UK, if they're looking at things like termly boarding, if they've got relatives in Lagos, they do need to have a guardian, obviously here, and I'm guessing you can help with that, and we can help with that.
Absolutely.
But if they're visiting, let's say your child is termly boarding, and I'm flying in for business, then absolutely you can come and see your child or take them out to stay with you for the weekend. Or my sister's getting married, then yes, of course someone can come and collect them and take them. We also will look at concierge services. So when they get there on the plane, the first time I'm expecting the parents will probably bring them in. But then for holidays, we will take them to the airport. We will, we can't get inside the airport, but then we have got protocol officers that we can use to make sure that they're taken forward properly. So we can obviously work with parents to provide that secure transport service that makes sure their children really are looked after. And we know that, let's say, the number two concern of UK parents, we know what the number one concern is. The number two concern is security. And, I live on site here. I live in an apartment on site. It's secure, it's safe, because I don't want anything to go wrong. For me personally, I have a vested interest. All my senior staff live here on site. And the same security precautions that we would take for a member of staff is exactly the same plan as we have for our students.
That is highly reassuring to hear. So I think everyone's heard enough from me now. We've had parents who've raised their hands. So I saw one parent who had her hands up. So I'll see if she still has. Okay, so Alera, do you still want to ask your question? I know you had your hand up, and we have a few questions in the Q&A. So if you want to actually speak and ask Mr. Todd your question, please just raise your hand up again and we'll take your question. So I'll just read through the questions in the Q&A, if that's okay, and you can take them. So the first question is, will there be an opportunity for students to undergo exchange programs with Charterhouse UK, for example, to spend a term or year at the school? And also the other way, can students already at Charterhouse UK do exchange programs with Charterhouse Lagos? So that's, do you want me to pause? Do you want me to take all of them?
Yeah, let me take that one. It's
sure.
Yes, the idea is good. The reality is around schools. Charterhouse in the UK is full with the waiting list. There are visa issues. There are safeguarding issues. And what worries me more on these, so yes, for 2 or 3 weeks is one thing. The key issue in a classroom is the relationship between the student and the teacher. When that relationship is good and established, children learn well. That takes time to establish. If you send your children away for a term, the first 5 or 6 weeks, they will develop relationships. They won't be learning as well or as quickly during that time. So educationally, sending them away for term, I am never convinced is a really great idea. I understand where it's coming from, but the practicality of it, and the other thing, for a term here, you pay £5,000. For a term there, you pay £20,000. Cost-wise, there would be a challenge as well. So what we're looking at with Charterhouse, and it's not just Charterhouse UK, there are Charterhouses coming up in other parts of the world, are what we can do online. What are the opportunities we can do to come together, maybe for sport, for music, for art, either in person or virtually. Because whilst these things are great, they also disrupt the child's education for quite a significant amount of time, and it's quite expensive.
So would you happen to consider a summer school program then for
Yes,
families? Because there's
yeah,
a reason
I
why
mean,
families want this. So
yeah, yeah, we have talked to Charterhouse about their summer program, and we will continue to do that and see what options we can offer, because yes, we know that is of interest. So that's something we're actively working on,
yeah,
as well as the summer school program here that will come
yes,
up in the next 2 or 3 years.
fantastic. Okay.
Mm.
That's good to know. Okay, so I'll take the next question. Will there still be the option of a founder's discount for potential year 7 and year 9 2026 joiners?
Yep, you have my word on that.
Good. So
Do you want
do
me
they?
to let me type
Yeah.
an answer yes, so that you can screenshot that, and come back to me? But absolutely, there will.
Amazing. Is there anything they need to do now? Do they need to register their
They
interest
do
now?
need to register. It may still be in place, but the reality is they need to register now.
Yeah.
We've got people that have registered for 2027 just to get it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, that's definitely a winner. Okay, so the final question, and again, parents, please, we have a few more minutes. If you want to speak, we would love to hear from you. Please just raise your hands and we'll take your question. So, what governance processes are in place? What guidance, policies, structures are in place to ensure the school leadership maintains its neutrality, independence in terms of ooh, this is a heavy one, protecting
Yeah.
its operational
Mm.
decisions from outside Nigerian influences?
Yeah, I think, I mean, so on one level, I've talked about the ethos, and thinking of Charterhouse UK is they know where we are. So they're also talking to a school in India, and one in, I think it's Kazakhstan, but I might be wrong on that. But it's somewhere around there. And each of these countries has its own culture, its own way of doing things, its own laws. So on the one level from them, it's not a place they want to go. And they have a large governing body that doesn't move quickly. I mean, there's a school that's been around for 400 years. Decisions don't get made in a rush. On the other hand, we have a number of governance structures. So we have the Charterhouse Lagos board. There are 4 members on that board. I am a member of that board. 3 of those board members are from us, from our company, and 1 person is from Charterhouse in the UK. Now we can add to that, but that is the board that appoints the head, that appoints me. That is the board that sets our budget. That is the board that sets our strategic direction. We control that. Charterhouse obviously has an influence, but we have if it ever came to it, it never has come to it, we have a voting majority. So we do have control. The only way that anything could happen there is if we were fundamentally, in terms of values or culture, clashing with Charterhouse UK. That's not a situation we see happening. Beyond that, we have an advisory board. And on that advisory board, we also have some Nigerians. And they keep us in touch with, say, our roots. They keep us in touch with where we are. We're also very much open to listening to parents. But in terms of that formal structure, it's not that Charterhouse UK could come in and say to us, oh, you must follow UK legislation around, what is it, DEI, diversity, equality, inclusion. They can't do that. They have no intention of doing that. Their focus is on making sure we have the same general ethos as Charterhouse UK in terms of the way we respect people, in terms of the way we treat people, and particularly in terms of academic standards.
Thank you very much. And I'm really glad you answered that question. Is very insightful because many parents wonder, like, so what's the connection? And
Yes.
at the same time, how much autonomy do you have as
And they
Charterhouse
inspect
Legal?
us. I mean, they inspect us every year. I have to send reports to them on, and what they're really interested in is, are they meeting our quality standards? They're not trying to dictate how an international school should operate in Nigeria. We're not. Are we a Nigerian school? We're a British international school in Nigeria. So it's hard to always say exactly the right words there, but culturally, the vast majority of our staff, the vast majority of our students are Nigerian. So culturally, we can't be anything else.
Amazing. I'll take this last question. I think you've touched on it, but I think she could do with some more explanation. So will there be sixth form entry for 2026-2027 and the option of a founder's discount for
Yes.
joiners then, please?
I'm going to type an answer. It's a very short one. Yes. Yes. But what I would say is you to be 100% sure, you need to register this year from September. I mean, it's not like you have to do it now.
Yes.
But come and talk to us. You can come and talk to us now, but come and talk to us as well if you want in September, so that you can then also obviously see the boarding house in action, because there'll be children in there. You can see the secondary school in action because all the new buildings will be open.
Amazing. And what I'll add to that, actually, if any of our parents are really interested in this founders discount, please let us know at Brains and Butter, because it would be really nice to actually be able to capture the interest from this conversation about the founders discount, and maybe we can have some conversations with Charterhouse Lagos. So do please let us know. It will very much be in your interest to let us know if you're interested in this founders discount. We've had an amazing parent who's just joined in, and she's asked in the chat section, are there any SEND capabilities and support systems in place? So that's from Jumoke.
So I will say, at this point, we're ready to talk to any parent, and every child has got specific needs of some kind or other. We all do. Charterhouse is an academically selective school, and so as such, there are particular demands, there are particular expectations around academic levels. So the spectrum is so wide now, it's hard to give a straight answer. We will definitely be happy to talk to parents to discuss what we may be able to offer, but we are catering to an academically selective set of students, which doesn't work for everybody. What I'll also say is what we're not trying to do is make this work for everyone. And I think the mistake some schools make is we have to cater for everyone. And we're saying, you know what, actually we don't. We are working for a very particular section of the market. We're looking at academic selection. We know that's not right for everybody. So we can't necessarily offer the right environment. And that kind of goes back to where we started. Is this the right school for your child? And is your child right for this school? They have to be able to fit within what we offer.
Thank you. And Mrs. Jagun Dokumo, please feel free to reach out to us and we can have further conversations about that. We can also, understand the needs, because like Mr. Todd said, it's such a wide spectrum. So it's not really something you can give a specific.
I mean, I think schools have to be responsible with this as well. It's easy to say, give us your money and let's have the child in the school. And there's a moral component about this. We're not just trying to get bums on seats. We want the right children who will thrive in our school, because this is about a child's life. So you have to be, as a parent, absolutely sure, can that school cater for your child's needs? It's back to, is it the right school for your child? Not every school is going to be right for your child. And it's as important for a school to turn around and say, you know what, this isn't going to work. And we've gone back to some parents and said, you know what, this is never going to work. This isn't the school that your child needs at this point in their life.
And that takes us back to this conversation of what this is about, really. It's about choosing a school that is right for your child. It's,
Correct.
it's not necessarily about, oh, this is the school I want, or this is the best school, it's top of the pops, as it were. Is this school environment right for my child? Because the school a child attends makes a world of difference in that child's life. Many of my best friends are from my secondary school. Business wise, I've got business partners from my secondary school as well. So there's a lot that happens. The career choice I've taken in life, so many things are impacted by the schools that we attend. So it's a key decision, and it's one you really want to get right for your child. And that's why we've been having this conversation. Did you want to say something, Mr. Todd?
No, just to say you are 100% right.
Amazing. As you've been as well, I cannot thank you enough.
My pleasure.
Nigeria is fortunate to have you as the leader of Charterhouse Lagos.
Thank you.
I like how real you are. I like your understanding of the Nigerian culture. Your extensive experience is definitely a plus to the Nigerian educational landscape. So it's such a pleasure to have had you on this call. And as you can see, our parents have really enjoyed listening in. The YouTube link will be made available to our parents. Our contact details, Okpemi has put a website address. So please, parents, do reach out to us. It really does make a difference if you speak to us as well about some of your considerations, your questions, your concerns, and your interest in the founders discount, because I can see that that was definitely, and understandably so, quite an attraction for many of our families. And when the summer school program in Lagos does go live, we would love to be a part of that, because I think that would be such an amazing opportunity for our families in the United Kingdom who want that opportunity to put their children within that British setting but in a Nigerian environment, as it were. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I honestly cannot thank you enough. I cannot even think of any better way to celebrate our 9th anniversary than to have your wonderful self with us.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to be handing over to Tola and Bernadette now as we begin to wrap this up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just to echo Dr. Alla, thank you, Mr. John Todd. It's a pleasure to have had you. Thank you so much. No better way, as she said, to celebrate our 9th year anniversary. Thank you. We are really grateful. On that note, I am going to hand over to Tola to take us further into our celebration. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Benedict. Thank you so much, Mr. Todd. And thank you for Dr. Alo. Thank you for that intentionality. I saw that blazers and I was okay. Well done, Ma. And thank you so much, parents, for just tuning in and staying on the call. I would like to ask that you please give me another 5 minutes just to talk to you about what we do at Brainton Butter. And I would just like to share my screen at this time. Good. There you have it. So we're celebrating 9 years of, excellence in education. And I would just like to, for some of you, you already know us, and you might just know us as school placements, educational consultants, just in school placements. But it would be nice for you to know that we do much more than just school placements. So this is who we are. We are educational consultants. Okay, I have a parent raising. I would like to, maybe we should take that before I go on, or should I? Yes, please. Let's just take that. All right. Mrs. May Walker, I believe. Yes, Ma, you have the mic. You can speak, Ma. Okay. Okay, Ma, say, I guess probably there was a mistake with that, or would she like to type in? Yes. So please, I'll just go on. And this is who we are. We are a team of educational consultants and certified to do this. We offer British boarding schools. We are British boarding schools experts. That's our niche. And we've offered over 30 children in 14 different British boarding schools. I can tell you this number is just, an estimate, but we've done so much more. And one of the things that actually makes us different from any other educational consulting firm is the fact that we are family focused, and we will work with you with your preference in, shortlisting or recommending schools for you. And this are some of our core services. Like I said, just just a bit of it. We offer school placement, guardianship, and tutorials. So a lot of you may just think, oh, what they do is just place children. No, we actually handle the 360 of you placing that child in the school that is right for them. So we do guardianship, we do tutorials as well. And just moving on, this is some of the reasons why our families will always choose us. We offer personalized support. We will tailor, your preference and offer a unique need for you. Just recommend the things that you actually need. We're trusted partners, proving success in top schools. And we also offer seamless process. So from application to enrollment, we handle everything for you. You don't even have to lift anything. We'll just come back to you with feedback from it. And this is some of the testimonials we've gotten from some of our parents. I mean, Mrs. Ufama Okosua said, we offer personalized approach, and it's such, it's something that they always come back to appreciate. Ms. Shola Abwede says, working with us has been very, very fantastic. We've lifted like a huge burden off the plate, handling communications, and then we just come back. And that's just one thing we'll do. So you don't need to just lift anything. You don't need to bother yourself. You get everything from us from the start to the beginning. So we handle everything for you. And the other thing there is the impression from another person that talked about how impressed they were with our creative. And so we don't just do African parents alone. For some, we also do some of our UK parents also always, and some of them are even on the call right now. So we handle all of that. And finally, you may be asking, how do you reach out to us? How do you contact us? What's the next step from here? My colleague has actually put a contact us link in the chat box. Please click if you want to know about the Charterhouse Lagos, you want to know more about the founders discounts, please just reach out to us using the link that has been shared, or you can call this number on your screen or send an email to hello@brentonbutter.com, or you can visit our website. We will really love to hear from you. And thank you once again for joining us today. We really, really appreciate Mr. Todd. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us so much about Charterhouse Lagos. It's been a great afternoon. And it continues tomorrow. So be on the lookout. Please look out for our Instagram and look at our Instagram page. Check your news emails, because we will be sending an email to you immediately after this call. Thank you so much once again. And that's it from me. Dr. Ali, do you have any final words?
Definitely, I do. 1 second. So I'm trying to so do you want to stop share for a bit?
Yes, that's
amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly, we have the most amazing parents. There are a number of names on the call that I actually haven't seen before. We would really, really love to hear from you. So we will be reaching out to you. Please reach out to us as well. It's, it's such a pivotal time for us as we celebrate 9 years of all things premium education, as it were. And we have many families. Do not think that, oh, this is such an expensive venture, this is way out of my reach. I am sure that there's something that we can do for you, particularly at this time. We're very happy at this time, right? So we might even give you a founder's discount of sorts as well. So please do reach out to us. Do not think that this is out of reach. And I'm so grateful to my mom, who's on the call and has just put a congratulatory message. Thank you so, so much to my amazing, amazing mother. I've got friends on the call as well, but some new parents. Honestly, I don't want to mention names but don't worry, this video will be edited, so we'll just focus on the key aspects of it. But so many new parents on the call, and you've stayed all this while. Thank you. I hope that was an insightful presentation from Charterhouse Lagos for you. So I'm thankful and hopeful that you have benefited tremendously from that presentation. Now tomorrow, this is March, right? This is Women's Month, and the theme is Accelerate Action. So in celebration of all things women, we're going to be showcasing schools that provide an all-girls education. We've got quite a number of them. It's amazing, actually, that many of the all-boys schools have become co-ed, but we've still got a good number of all-girls schools that have maintained being all-girls schools. So we've got 3 of them that will be speaking to us this month. So we've got Rodine tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So please, please make it a date with us tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And even if you think, oh, I haven't got a daughter or I'm not interested in Rodine school, I always say that when it comes to education and schools, there is something you stand to learn. So even by being here, I'm sure you've learned a lot already. So please join us as we continue the celebrations tomorrow with Rodine School, also keen into the fact that this is the month where we celebrate women. So thank you very much for staying on the call. Like I said, we will be in touch with you. And please be in touch with us as well. Thank you so much, Bernadette. Thank you, Tola. It's been an amazing, amazing afternoon now, morning into afternoon for those of us here in the UK. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you all so much, and for all the nice messages. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Well done, Ma.
Amazing. And all the team behind the scenes. I saw, Tola, you were looking up everyone behind the scenes, our associates on the call. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Amazing. So the YouTube link.
Thank you to you too. Thank you for being an amazing leader. Thank you for being an amazing founder. This
Wow.
will be 9 years if it weren't for you and your initiative and innovativeness to do this. So thank you.
You are so kind. Thank you so much, Bernadette. Thank you. I'm really grateful. Thank you. So on that,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you. Congratulations to us. Congratulations. Thank you. So on
Yes.
that note, I'm going to be